Today, we're going to be talking about long division of polynomials. And we can divide polynomials in much the same way that we divide numbers. So let's pause for a moment and consider how we would divide large numbers. Specifically, for my example, we're going to do 15 dividing into 676. So the first thing that we look and ask ourselves is how many times does 15 go into 6? Well, 15 is bigger than 6. Therefore, we should move to the next digit over. So we ask ourselves, how many times does 15 go into 67? Well, 15 goes into 67 4 times. 4 times 15 gives me 60. And I'm going to subtract this away. So that I have 67 minus 60 gives me 7. And I'm going to bring down that next digit here, which in this case is a 6. And I ask myself the same question. How many times does 15 go into 76? Well, 5 times 15 is 75. And so that means that I can subtract 76 minus 75 and end up with 1. In terms of giving these pieces names, this 1, the piece that's left over, is called the remainder. And 45 up here, this is the quotient. So quotient is how many times it goes in evenly, and the remainder is whatever is left over, what didn't go in evenly. Well, we did this with numbers. Let's now do it with variables, specifically in the context of polynomials. So my example here is going to be 11h minus 1, and then we're going to be dividing that into negative 66h cubed minus 5h squared plus 45h minus 4. So we're going to ask ourselves the question, how many times does 11h go into negative 66h cubed? And if we do that, it looks like that will be negative 6h squared times, right? Negative 6h squared times 11h gives me negative 66h cubed. Negative 6h squared times minus 1 gives me plus 6h squared. And we have to subtract this whole thing. So I subtract that whole thing. Minus 66 plus 66h cubed gives me 0. So I'm not even going to bother writing it. And then I have minus 5 minus 6 gives me negative 11h squared. And I'll bring down the next piece, which in this case is plus 45h. Well, I have plus 45h there, but I'm really asking how many times does 11h go into negative 11h squared? So it looks like that will go in minus h times, and I take minus h times 11h, and I'll get minus 11h squared. Minus h times minus 1 gives me plus h, and then I will subtract. So as I subtract, minus 11 plus 11 gives me 0. That's good. That should happen every single time. 45 minus 1 gives me 44h, and then I have a minus 4 here. So if I have that minus 4 there, my new result will be 44 minus h. I need to check and see how many times does 11h go into that. Well, 11 goes into 44 4 times, so it looks like I'll have a plus 4 left. 4 times 11h gives me 44h. 4 times minus 1 gives me minus 4. So in this case, we have a remainder of 0 and a quotient of negative 6h squared minus h plus 4.